She had to bust me out with the roller skating, huh? Yeah. Trying to skate through life. My name's Ken, I'm an alcoholic. I'm also a drug addict. I like caffeine, sex, drugs, rock and roll, and all that shit, man. I'm liable to use the F word, the N word, and all the words in the alphabet, so I hope that'll trigger anybody. I used to be ashamed of saying that I was an alcoholic or an addict, but in my opinion, everybody is an alcoholic or an addict. That's what it is to be human. It's just what was accepted and understood in my circle was drugs and alcohol. Show of hands, who likes to feel good? That's what I thought, me too. You belong here. Who likes to feel too good? Yeah, me too. You definitely belong here. So, I was born in 1977. My mom was 21, my dad was 56. So either he was a pimp or she was a whore, probably a little of both. And I say that to say that as a parent, she was trying to fill a hole within her, and she made babies and caused a hole in me. I did the same thing to my kids, but growing up, it was just me and my mom. I was her partner, I went to parties. I passed joints for her as soon as I could walk. And I'm from a time, late 70s, early 80s, when it was cool to give a kid a shot of moonshine and watch him not be able to breathe. Here, give this to your mom. And so I've been getting high and drunk forever. And growing up, I went to college with my mom, I went to parties with my mom, until she met my stepdad. He adopted me, and at that point, life changed. And I say that to say that that's what caused a lot of my chasing love and why I chose the women I chose later on in life. But that was the time of Just Say No Club, Dare Club, shit like that. And I was like, double dare me. Please dare me. I'm gonna get high. So I started getting high, and my parents always told me, you're gonna have a vice. You're gonna have something that makes you feel good. But luckily today, this is how I party. Through high school, I was an athlete. I could have excelled, but I like to smoke weed. I like to drink, I like to party. I just wanted to be accepted, and I wanted to be understood, and that's how I knew how to do it. I remember at an early age, my parents were having a New Year's Eve party, and the party was just dead as hell. Nobody doing nothing, everybody sitting around, pretty much like you guys are right now. And everybody was waiting on Clay. When Clay got to the party, that's when the party got started. But it broke out the glass table, and everybody was having a good time at that point. And I decided at that point in time that I wanted to be Clay. I wanted to learn how to use drugs as a weapon, and I wanted to learn how to drink and function. So that's what I did. It became a superpower for me. But I was still just chasing love. I was chasing the love that I had with my mom when I was young, and being emotionally abandoned at a young age, it was hard. So what did I do? I went out and found me a woman just like my mom. Bitch. And so I had kids with her, and me having that hole inside of me, I caused that hole in my kids. And seeing as how their mom and I couldn't keep our shit together for long enough at the same time, she lost custody, and I got custody. I got 3 sons, 6 grandkids. 5 of them are girls, and that's my punishment for being a whore. But I had custody of my older 2 sons for like 6 years. Their mom got better, they went to live with her, and then I got custody of my youngest son at the age of 5. I could stay clean long enough to get the big bag, or I could stay clean long enough to get custody. So I went to Florida and got him out of Children's Services. I started tinting windows, and I had a stereo shop, and nobody gives a shit if you're drunk or fucked up in a stereo shop, as long as your shit's pounding when you leave, or your windows are dark, you know. Dark windows were my thing. I showed people how to hide a lot of shit. Once you go black, you never go back, right? But everything tastes better on a cracker. So that's one of my biggest regrets, and one of my biggest resentments towards myself was my superpower was to use drugs as a weapon, and I could drink all day and all night. Captain Morgan's was my thing. They even used to call me the captain. And I used to say I wasn't an alcoholic, I was a pirate. You can't be drunk all day if you don't drink in the morning, you know?
That's what I do.
But my drug of choice was speed and alcohol, and I tried to tell people, you can do what you want, you know, as long as you do what you gotta do. And people were dying, man, you know, and just because my drug of choice wasn't killing people, I thought it was okay. As my youngest son got older, he learned from me how to deal with his issues and how to deal with his problems. His drug of choice was heroin. He started hustling at about the age of 13, 14. His mom passed away when he was 12 from this disease. She got a blood infection that went to her heart and killed her. We would always get back together and hump when she was in town, and I knew that when she said she was in the hospital and she was sick, I said, well, you want me to come down and hump one more time, you know? And I knew that when she said no, that she was dying. And that was rough, man. I don't know who it was rougher on, me or him, but it was rough. And so he wanted to be like me, and we partied. We did a lot of partying together. You know, we did a lot of partying together, and I thought I was the cool dad. We used to get high together, and we used to have these deep conversations. I thought. For his 16th birthday, we cooked up a big batch of meth. You know, and that's the piece of shit dad that I was. I thought it was cool. And I say that to say that you're an inspiration. Each and every one of you is an inspiration. And each and every one of us is a leader. If we weren't leaders, then we'd be out there doing the same shit that everybody else is doing. If you have one day clean, you're an inspiration. But people are watching us. Clean, dirty, whatever, people are watching us and they're learning from us. He went through a rough time, and I used to get high and roller skate my ass at 3 in the morning. You know, I'd be out there roller skating. I lived in my mom's basement. He lived in my mom's back bedroom. I used to just get high and roller skate all night. I thought I was making videos and shit. I thought I was gonna be some sensation, some roller skate sensation. I got pulled over one time on roller skates, lights and everything. The cop gets out and he says, "Man, we got calls to somebody roller skating down Linden Avenue." I'm like, "Wasn't me?" He's like, you got an ID?" "Yeah, I got an ID." I said, "Why don't you just go on and write me a ticket for speed?" He didn't have much of a sense of humor. But he said he wasn't going to write me a ticket for speeding. Don't be roller skating down the middle of the road. Get your ass home. Well, I get home and I'm like, hey boy, I'm going to get a drink of this Mountain Dew. And he didn't answer me. I said, Bubba, I'm going to get me some of this Mountain Dew. He didn't answer me. So I went to check on him, and he was hunched over, he was purple. And still fucking wearing roller skates, I couldn't fucking get my roller skates off. I couldn't pick him up and get him to the tub. I'm yelling at my mom to call 911. I'm smacking him around, and I'm holding him like, Bubba, just please come back, man. Please come back. And I felt like I killed my son, it was my fucking fault. I taught him how to deal with issues, and he had been through a lot, and he had never had the chance to experience wins in life. I just kept smacking him around and trying to pick him up, just holding him, and about the time the ambulance got there, he said, Dad, quit hitting me. I said, you died on me, man. And he said, I was sleeping out of it. You died on me, man. And the next day, as you well know, when you OD, it's not like getting hit by a car. There's no recovery process. The next day, he's trying to get high again. Well, I had a different view on getting high at this point. Getting high with him, around him, getting high, period. In the height of my addiction, I used to pray to God, to Jesus, to whatever religion. Just show me a sign, Just give me a sign, dude, and I'll be the best Jesus-er there is. I say that to say that you might not want to wait for that sign. You might not want to wait for that life-changing event. It might be something tragic. If you got an idea that there's a time to change, now's the time to change. When I was getting high, I used to get real artsy-craftsy and shit, and I took this big piece of limestone and carved a face in it, like Easter Island, one of those faces, I thought it was fucking Michelangelo or something. And when I caught him trying to get high again, I took that big rock and I hurled it at his car and busted his windshield out. Well, it hit the passenger side, and I was like, this dude's gonna still be able to drive that thing. So I had to pry it up out of the passenger side and hurl it back in. Well, it felt good, so I busted all the fucking windows out of his car. And he came out, and he starts pushing me around. Dad, really? And I'm like, yeah, really. I'm serious. I'm serious. You fucking died on me, and this shit's gonna end today. He pushed me again. I said, you push me one more time, and you better put your fucking hands up. And I never laid a hand on him. I used to run him around the block with a tool belt on when he got in trouble. We call it physical education. But he pushed me one more time, and I knocked his ass out right there on the sidewalk. And I told him, I was like, please get up, I should have did that shit a long time ago. But he got the point. He got serious. He went to rehab the next day. I wasn't that smart. I thought that I could do it on my own. I changed my people, places, things several times for about a year. But it wasn't until I changed my mind that I started to get clean. It wasn't until I surrendered and realized that I couldn't do it on my own. It had been too long. You know, my habits and my coping skills were void. I didn't have any. And so he started having some success at Creed. He graduated Creed. He did end up relapsing, but I'm from the standpoint that if you have cancer and you go somewhere for treatment and shit doesn't work, then go somewhere else for treatment. And if this is a disease and you're somewhere that's not working, go somewhere else. I finally decided to go to treatment, and I was doing okay, you know, and what my counselor, she said, you know, Ken, overachieving is a form of manipulation. Yeah, whatever. So they accused me of having relations with one of the counselors. I'm not going to confirm or deny whether or not I had relations with a counselor. But they said I got special treatment, and that was a lie. So I went to another treatment place, you know, and I decided to start volunteering. They didn't want me to work, but they'd sure as hell let me volunteer. So I started volunteering about 30, 40 hours a week. And I've often wondered what my purpose in life was. And the conclusion that I've come to is that my purpose was fulfilled the day I was born. And up until now, all I was doing was dumping shit on my purpose. I was clouding my purpose and distracting from my true purpose. There's so many distractions these days. It's hard, man, but I put myself in jail, I started volunteering, and I started to give back. I started to be a contributing member. And really, that's all I did was volunteer. And so I think that that's life, you know, like every living thing on this planet contributes, except for a lot of humans. I think that's our purpose, man, is just to contribute to each other. Like I can look around this room, and I know what the purpose of everything in here is. The pillars are holding up the ceiling, you know, the ceiling tile, the floor tile, to the screws in this podium, to the lights going down, the decorations. I know what everything in here does, except for look next to you, look at the person next to you, and you're like, what the fuck is that for? You know, like, what is that person for? Look in the mirror, and I'm like, what is that for? I've come to the conclusion that it's so you can see God. It's so that you can see God at work. That's what the person next to you is doing, is showing you an expression of God. It's all the gears, it's all the circles, all the shapes, sizes, all the functions, all the machines of this earth and universe working together to become that thing. So that's my purpose, and I hope that you know, my message reaches people. I said earlier that you know, I'm an alcoholic and an addict, but I'm also a dad, a son, a father. I am a teacher of personal development, and I'm the coordinator for youth prevention now at Connection West. I give back now, and I focus on giving back. I try not to focus on the thing, the money, the car, the girl, even though I do have a smoke show of a girlfriend now, but that came later. That came after I focused on the job and giving back. And I wasn't ready for any of that stuff. I wouldn't have been able to handle any of that stuff unless I work some of the steps. The good thing about this disease is that there's a step-by-step guide on how to keep it at bay. They say that there's no cure, but I don't know, I might argue that if you take the medicine every day. I decided to recover like I got high. When I was getting high, it's the first thing I thought about when I got up. So that's the first thing I do when I get up. I watch a video or I read about recovery. I listen to David Goggins or who? Who are we talking about, Tori?
Eric Thomas.
Eric Thomas. I listen to somebody yelling at my ass on how to get better. Huh? Jordan Peterson. I listen to all of them, you know. If I want to work on a car or bake a cake or something, I get online and I watch somebody else do it. I look up somebody else that's done it before and had success with the shit. They know the downfalls. So that's what I do with recovery. I get online and I look at it. When I was getting high, the last thing I thought about before I went to bed was getting high. How I was going to get high the next day. So that's what I do with recovery. I'm big on meditation. I hear a lot of people say, oh, well, I can't meditate, you know what I mean, and blah, blah, blah. But I once stared at a mirror which had a reflection out of the window for 6 hours so that I didn't have to directly look out the window and see the feds coming to get me. So I can fucking meditate for 20 or 30 minutes. You know, I donate. I donate my time and my money. If I only have a few bucks, I donate it. I once spent a whole paycheck for rock salt. I can donate 5 or 10 or 20 bucks to a fucking meeting or to somebody, you know? It's possible. I can do it. I recover like I got high. And did you know that more people are dying every year of overdose that have died in every war since Vietnam? In a year. We don't have to go to war anymore. We don't have to have slavery. We're doing it to ourselves. And make no mistake, we are at war. But the good thing is that this is your front line. These are all your soldiers. These are all fellow soldiers. It will help you stay alive. Call them, use them. Keep coming back. I'd like to finish with a story. There's a dad, and he's sitting there in the morning, he's drinking his coffee, he's reading the newspaper. And his son comes down, Dad, when are we leaving? Let's go. Let's go outside, let's go outside, let's go outside. And Dad, you know, he's a good dad. He's not high. he's going to take his kid outside. But he just wants a few more minutes to finish his coffee. And on his paper, there's a map of the globe. So he takes that globe and he tears it up to a bunch of pieces. He throws it on the floor. He says, hey, boy, put that globe together. We'll go when we're done. Figured it'd give him enough time to finish his coffee. About 5 minutes, the boy comes back and he's like, Dad, I'm ready. The dad's like, what the hell? How'd you get it put together so fast? And the boy said, when I came down the steps, you were reading the paper. On the other side of the paper, there was a man. Picture of a man. Once I put that man together, the whole world fell into place. Once you put yourself together, the whole world will fall into place. I promise you that. I'm Ken.